Hello, hello, Hidden Hermit here. Just adjusted my camera just a wee bit. How you doing? Look, there's the Ace of Swords, and here is the Ace of Swords from the Night Sun Tarot. Very resplendent card. It's like boom. The Night Sun Tarot loves to have these sort of rays of light on the focal point, and the focal point here is indeed the tip of the sword and the element of air. And it reminds us 3 times that it's the element of air, in case we'd forgotten or in case we didn't understand. So, as with many aces across many decks, it's a very simple card, is the Ace of Swords. There are a few features that are particularly kind of cool. The sword itself is kind of amazing. If I could just get it into focus there, or, stop moving. It's a very cool looking sword. It's a broadsword, I believe, if I'm using the terminology correct. It's broader at the pointy end, if you like. You also have the hilt, which is this bird. Obviously, I say obviously, it's a bit condescending, but I suspect that is to show you it's the element of air, because birds, they fly in the air. I don't know if you can see this, if I can get this to focus. That's pretty good, actually. In the middle here, you've got a mouth, and I think that symbolizes the idea of communication. Also down here, right at the, I've forgotten the word, you've got this kind of hand holding a crossed orb as well. And I like to think that symbolizes logic, reason, the law, how things have been written down, as it were. That kind of, again, communication. So when you think about the ace, you do think about matters of the mind. So intellectualism, logic, reason, communication. I'm going to say balance, balance from a logical kind of standpoint, if you like. If you were to look at the keywords in the Night Sun book, there's a few interesting ones, but you've got impetus, intelligence. You've also got, and this is very interesting, excess, which is, I tell you why that's interesting, because when you say you're leading a life of excess, yes, you're tapping into that sort of sensitivity, you're playing to your passions, but you have to make a choice, don't you? You have to make a logical choice. The choice sometimes is to just give in to those urges, if you like, to submit to your passions, but you still have to make a choice. Eventually, I think I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here. Eventually you may not have a choice, but you have to make that initial choice. Also, conquest is a word that is associated, or at least outlined in the book, and also violence. So that is also interesting. Are we thinking about conquest in a military fashion, in a warlike fashion? Because you don't really associate those attributes with the suit of with the element of air and the suit of swords. It's more of a wandy nature. However, let's not escape the fact that it is a sword. Now, yes, it can be metaphorical, but you can't escape the fact that it's a sword. Now, in a lot of early tarot systems, wands and swords were actually the other way round, which, when I first found out many years ago, I was indeed surprised. When you think about it, you can see how they can be interchangeable. However, I'm more comfortable with what we've come to learn for what air and fire means. You get those, I was about to say insipid sayings, but they're not. You cut to the heart of the matter, cutting the wheat from the chaff. Again, you're using your mind to do those things. Also got to think about the number 1, numerologically. So you're thinking about beginnings, germination, totality as well, which is kind of coming at full circle. Potential, absolutely. And affirmation as well, which is a good one, I think. There isn't much more to say about this, but it is, there's the Crown of Thorns, excuse me. The Crown of Thorns is a motif that comes up in the Night Sun deck quite a lot. And, of course, the crown is worn on the head, just to highlight that, the idea of mind again. Interestingly, thorns are also kind of prickly as well. However, the Crown of Thorns turns up for most of the court cards, as well as some of the other figures in the Night Sun deck. So I'm not going to read too much into that. what else can I say? Yeah, so you've got the Seed of Life and a kind of a stripped down Metatron's cube or a Star of David in the background. Again, these are images that turn up in a lot of the decks, but very resplendent here. I think the important thing about the Night Sun Ace of Swords is it is heralding the Suit of Swords, and it has to be said, the Suit of Swords in the Night Sun is excellent. It's brilliant. I'm on board with all the interpretations, even the somewhat more left field ones. But you can also hunt down those videos because they're out there, or they will be soon. Anyway, this is a lot of words for an ace, to be fair, to be perfectly fair. But like I say, yeah, you just wait. You go and look up the Two of Swords now. It's awesome. So yep, that is the Ace of Swords from the Night Sun Tarot.